Alright guys, so today's video I'm going to break down kind of an interesting thought experiment that I put on a little while ago. And it's this idea that what if the earth was round and all of us were wrong? And I actually learned a lot from this thought experiment, a lot more than you might think you'd learn from just, I don't know, a random idea. But I'm just going to go into everything about it, about this thought experiment. So the thought experiment is, why do we believe that the earth is round? Now, I am in no way a flat earther. I think the earth is round. I totally agree with that. But the concept is, why do we believe that the earth is round? Because we, as normal people, if you really look at it, we actually have literally maybe not literally no evidence, but there's not very much evidence that we have actually physically seen and observed with our own instruments and our own minds. But then you could say we listen to the scientists, but there are some particular scientists that will argue that the earth is flat. So then if we can't listen to the scientists, what do we listen to? And we don't really listen to anything. For the most part, everything we believe is just what we believed when we were younger, and so we still believe it now. And I guess I don't really know the purpose of, man, you know, there is good reasons to, whoa, give me one sec. This tripod's really handy, but if I want to pick up and walk somewhere, it's a lot less handy. There's a lot of interesting benefits from taking these random perspectives and kind of diving into things like, why do we believe what we believe? And what's interesting is I'm kind of obsessed with making money. And with my own life, the biggest leaps in my financial abilities have come from these mindset shifts, these things that you learn just by observing and coming to your own conclusions about the world. So back to the flat earth theory, if we take a look at why we actually believe that the earth is round, for the most part, we're going to realize that it's based off of how we grew up and what we were told. So imagine if you grew up in a family that was, all of them in the family, everybody in the family was a flat earther. They thought the earth was flat. And then they told you about all the evidence. They told you about how the government's lying about things and all that sort of stuff. Isn't it likely that you were going to be a flat earther as well because you were born in that? So the observation you can make, or the observation I made from this thought experiment, is that there's a lot of things that we are told to believe and we believe them, but that doesn't necessarily make them true. And I think learning this can allow you to have a more open mind about the world as a whole, because you realize the only reason you believe things is because you were told to believe them, and not even necessarily that you were told to believe them, but you were raised in an atmosphere where everybody around you believed it, and because of that, you also believed it. And I feel like, man, there's so much more to learn from each experience we have than we even know, because this experience I learned a lot from, but I've also learned that you can learn a lot from this sort of thought experiment, which, if you're able to follow that, I learned that you can learn a lot from following random thought experiments like this, even if they seem trivial. And there's just so many things to learn from just observing what is already in front of you and drawing new conclusions. And it's actually a really